Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry we're running a little bit late. Wednesday, March 2nd, 2011, 5:15 in the evening. City Hall, City Council Chambers, 790 Homestead Boulevard. Madam Clerk, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if you'd call the roll, please.
Board Member Burgess.
Here.
Board Member Lobo.
Here.
Board Member Maldonado. Board Member Shelley.
Here.
Board Member Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Warman.
Here.
Chairman Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 2, deletions and/or deferrals. What do we have, Manager? Manager, any deletions or deferrals? 0. Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes.
So moved.
September 14th, 2010, CRA Board minutes. Thank you. Approval and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business. Item 5 here. Not-for-profit organizations and applications review. Before we get into this, because I'm not quite sure how we are going to sit at this meeting and go through them one by one and come to a conclusion of who gets what dollar amount. So I'd just like to offer up a suggestion, and my suggestion would be to ask Councilwoman Lobos to take the nonprofits on, form a committee, and sit with the committee and come back to us in 30 days or less with the approved applicants.
Second, if that's a motion.
Yeah, well, that can be a motion. Yes, that's fine. Thank you. In a second. Okay, discussion.
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes,
the reason,
please.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the reason is that I think it places us as a board in a very precarious position. And I don't want to be in that position, and I don't think as a CRA board that we ought to be approving grant applications that come before us. Some of us serves on some of these committees, or not committees, but per se liaison to some of the applications, and I don't want to be a part or be placed in that predicament as a member of the board of the CRA. So I would very much support that if Councilwoman Lobos would take that on. I think a committee needs to really be developed, and then that committee with some categories of how the selection process to be done, and come back to us with that.
Okay.
Mayor?
Discussion. Yes, Ms. Lobos.
Thank you, Mayor. And as I hear you introduce that, I gladly accept, because from the beginning I thought that a committee should have been formed. It's just very difficult for us to sit up here with the applications, just like you have explained. The only thing that I would ask the council was to give me, and to come to an agreement now as to the committee members, and I think that the most fair and appropriate way would be for each person to recommend someone to sit on the committee to represent each of the members' interests that are not any of the applicants or related to any of the applicants. And that way we can make sure that everything is as fair as possible and as transparent as possible.
Would you like that recommendation made tonight, or?
I see some of the applicants shaking their heads and wanting it to be 30 days or less, and I know the urgency of it, so I would very much appreciate it to move things along. I know that we can't discuss amongst one another outside of meetings, so it would just be beneficial if we could do it right now. If anybody has any objections to that, just so that we can move the process along rather quickly.
And realistically, how quick do you think you could get this done? I mean, we could do a special call. How quick do you think you could?
Well, if we decide who the committee members are going to be today, I can meet with them as early as Friday. I know I have a meeting with the city manager, so I will be at City Hall anyway. I can meet with them Friday all the way up to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that way you'll have a date for a special call sometime next week, and we can move rather quickly.
Okay, I see my pick in the audience.
Mayor?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I have no problem, supporting Ms. Lobos heading this committee. However, I would have liked to have known that maybe this was the way that we were going to go, because I have spent the last a good 4 full days, and you can ask Mr. Leonard, he'll certainly verify this, studying all of these organizations and finding out their grant sources and finding out what they, where they stand in the community and what they're about in the community. And so I'm just going to put that on the record that I wish I had known, and I'm sure the applicants would have liked to have known as well. And I am not prepared to name my committee member, because this is something that's going to take a great deal of thought for me, and I want to make sure that we have the right person that I'm going to be appointing. So I'm not prepared to do that tonight. I will support Ms. Lobos in the committee, but I'm not prepared to name a committee member tonight.
Okay, Mr. Shelley. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I too would like to, I like the idea of forming a committee because I got this information, the same thing I was looking through it, trying to, it puts you in a very precarious position to try to figure out which not-for-profit should get this or should get that and how much money and what the value. I mean, it's a very difficult decision, and so I think it is good to have a committee to look over all this information and make this recommendation. I support that wholeheartedly. The only thing I would also, tonight I'm not ready to make a recommendation for board member either because off the top of my head I just don't have anybody that I can name just here on the spot. But one thing I would want clarification on is this a committee that we're putting together for this time and this time alone to get the process completed, and then we're going to go back and put together a more permanent process going for, say, next year, or is this going to be the process from here on out?
We're speaking for myself. It would be to rectify this, what we've done here, yes.
And that's what I'd like to see, and then have a more permanent process go forward from there.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, I also like to state for the record that I wasn't aware of this recommendation until the mayor said it, and so I'm just kind of quickly thinking on my feet here. If you're not prepared to make any committee recommendations, that's fine, as long as we agree that each person will recommend someone to sit on the committee, and therefore within the next couple of days, if I can get that recommended name, so that we can form this committee rather quickly. And then, Mayor, as I understand it from when you introduced it right now, we're going to recommend the names to the council, to the board members, right? And then the board, ultimately, will have the deciding factors. So it's good that we are all very knowledgeable and read all the material for all the organizations so that at that time, you're familiar with whomever we recommend.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Ramos.
Let me just say in my discussion with Jordan, I raised this concern with Jordan in my meeting yesterday that I did not feel comfortable in sitting here and going through the applications and trying to assign a number. And I raised that issue and concern to him about my reservation of that. And so because of that, that's why when you came out with it, I was because I was going to say something about it. I still just don't believe that we ought to be in that kind of, I don't think that this board should operate in that way. It's trying to give out grants. So that's my whole reason behind it.
Thank you. John?
Everything's been said for me.
Okay.
I'm ready to move whatever way you want to move.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Madam Clerk, let's just call the roll for the motion and the second, correct? Is that okay?
Mayor, can I just suggest some sort of a date certain as to when all the members provide their names so that at least we know we have.
How about by this Friday, right?
By Friday would
By
be
Friday?
appreciated.
I'll be ready. I just need to make a phone call before
Yeah,
I
same
throw
here.
somebody's name out.
Just so at least we have some structure and the process. If you need to get it back within a month, we're going to need to at least have the names sooner than later. I don't know what date. I mean, I'm just saying.
Mayor,
I'm hoping you get it back before a month.
Usually 2 weeks, right?
A week, a month, whatever the time frame is, as long as we have some structure to this process, because I know from Mr. Leonard's perspective, the nonprofits have been, asking for us to move the process.
They've been very
along. So
patient.
Whatever the time frame is, it is, as long as we get some direction.
Mayor,
Yes, please.
I'm not sure that I can have that name for you by Friday because I'm going to have to make numerous phone calls. I don't have one person in mind. So if there's anybody in this audience that would like to serve on the committee, you might want to see me afterwards. I know Jeanette would love to, and Margie, and everybody, Robert, everybody would love to. But I'm telling you, this is very, very important. I have done the math over and over and over again, and it is just really an important decision. So I'll do my best. That's all I can tell you. But I think that's really quick to have to put somebody, because if you're going to have a meeting on Friday, then that decision is going to have to be made probably by noon tomorrow in order for...
Yeah, and I wasn't suggesting a particular day. I was just saying if we have whatever date, we can have a cutoff date, so at least we know where to work from there.
Okay, so we have one person's opinion on not by Friday, so I need some more input. A little more input? What do you think?
Mayor?
Yes.
if the majority of you submitted by Friday, and then we're waiting on one person, then we'll move forward when that last person submits the name. So it's in the interest of time and in trying to work within the 30 days, I think that we can all agree that as soon as possible then. By Friday would be great, but if it doesn't happen till Monday, Wednesday, everybody will be kept informed that we're still waiting on a committee name, and whenever that happens, then everybody will be informed that we're moving forward with that.
Okay. Thank you. Anything further? Steve? Jimmy? You got it? Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just to add a couple of things. Once the committee members are designated, if you're going to speak to somebody, they should know that they should not be speaking to each other about these grants outside of the
Sure.
public meeting.
It's in the sunshine.
It's in the sunshine. And then number two is that appointing somebody, certainly that nobody should be appointed who has any interest in this process. They should be, none of the applicants should be there or anybody that has really any relationship to any one of these
I have a question.
organizations.
So you're saying that if I wanted to appoint somebody, but if they happen to own a business downtown, that wouldn't be appropriate? Or if I wanted to support somebody whose organization, who maybe from a church that has people that use some of these entities?
What I think if you have some questions about a particular applicant, let's talk about them individually because each one is going to be determined depends upon their relationship. So, if you have a couple of people in mind, we can talk about it and then see if there's a potential conflict on any of them.
Just as a point of interest, I would like to say that I strongly urge the committee appointees to be at least familiar with the CRA and familiar with these organizations and what their purposes are, and give them time to study this package, and it is a big package. Thank you.
Okay, with that said, got a motion and a second. Let's call the roll.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay. B, Commercial Facade Grant Program. CRA Director, you want to take that?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Manager. Item 4B, we have the Commercial Facade Grant Program modification. Staff is recommending that the CRA Board approve the proposed changes to modify the Commercial Facade Grant Program.
Okay. Staff reports given. Council, questions from council?
I'm sorry. It was hard to hear you.
I'm sorry.
Would you repeat what you said?
Sure. Staff recommends that the CRA Board approve the proposed changes to modify the Commercial Facade Grant Program. If you want, I can go over the outline in detail.
Just briefly for us so
Sure.
that people will understand.
One is to extend the program throughout the CRA district, to add landscape services as an eligible improvement, also to create an enhancement for applicants that fall within the Southwest Neighborhood and Downtown Historic District, to amend the funding for the program to allow awards of $1 to $12,000 at a 75% match, and awards from $12,001 to $25,000 at a 50-50 match, and enhanced areas be eligible for a 90% match up to $12,000. Staff is also asking the board's direction as to who would be responsible for selecting awardees to the board.
Questions?
So, question, yes, Mayor?
Yes, please.
So you want us to come up with another committee? Is that for this election process? What are you asking?
Well, currently as it is right now, the program is limited to the Southwest and the historic downtown area. So that if the board approves expanding it to the entire CRA district, staff needs direction as to how that is going to be implemented.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Follow up then, the current process now, if it's the downtown application, then downtown has a committee that does the processing. Is that not right?
Correct, that if the applicant falls within the downtown area, that the Main Street organization would be determining that.
Okay, and then the Southwest Advisory Board handles the residential part.
Correct.
So, my question then, are you looking for another committee, or could we just combine it with one of the committees that are already?
It's your prerogative. You can, that is one option you could do, yes.
All right.
And the paragraph 2, we're looking at increasing these grants by matching them, right? 12,000 at a 75% match and 50% match, right?
Yes, sir.
And we have $100,000 to get out on the street. There's $100,000, correct?
Correct. We budgeted $100,000 in this year's fiscal budget.
And you felt that it's going to make this process a little easier to have some of these as 75%, 50% matching grants?
Yes.
That was a...
Yes, sir. The concept behind that would be to not only to expand it to allow more applicants to be able to be eligible, but also different sizes of businesses. So instead of just limiting it to smaller businesses, expanding it to $25,000 as a 50-50 match might enable a larger or medium-sized business to apply and fix up their property as well.
Sounds good. Sounds real good. Okay, Mr. Sean.
Yeah, I like the program as well. I think it's a good expansion on a good thing. As far as the committee goes, I think it'd be better maybe to have one committee that decides, so that the standards are the same, so that you can't pick and choose a committee. I know the committees are based on the areas, but I think that way, so there's uniformity across the selection process. I think it'd be better to have one committee. Now, how that committee's made up, I don't know. Maybe we combine, the existing committees equally, or however we need to do it. If we need a tiebreaker in there as well. But I just think one committee would simplify the process and make the standards uniform across the board.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr. Burgess.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I too agree with Mr. Shelley that I think perhaps one board, and just an idea, I mean, we're sitting on our second item of the night, and we're looking for more outside input, and I guess this is just an idea. P&Z helps us move a lot of things through planning, because through the manager and through the mayor and Mr. Leonard, do you think a board similar to that would be helpful in the CRA that we could put together, and they would be called as necessary?
Yes, and that's something that other CRAs have done. They do. There are CRA boards that do have advisory committees.
So here we are on our second item tonight. We're looking for, a board. And Mr. Shelley, you would like to combine them. I don't know how Mr. Williams feels being with the Southwest Committee and doing stuff, but just an idea, just throwing it out there.
I understand.
So, I mean, if people want to discuss that or not, that's up to them.
If I can respond to Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess, I think your concept is great. Are we saying now an advisory board to the CRA? Because, I think at some point, we want to make sure that we are kind of have the same guiding light or guiding post in that that their responsibilities is spelled out if we're creating an advisory board to the CRA, if that's what I'm hearing. Or are they specifically going to deal with the grants? And then in that case, I support it, but if we're talking about an advisory board, then I may have a little concern with that one.
I have a question.
I would defer to Mr. Leonard because he knows more about it and what kind of boards do work and what don't.
Yes, sir. That is one option. Keep in mind that at the end of tonight, hypothetically, you could have 9 different programs that the CRA will be operating, which include potential loans, grants, and for commercial, residential, a whole potpourri of different programs. So it is it's within your purview. I mean, it certainly would help you operate more smoothly, but if you also decide to do it separately and break it out so that, let's say, for example, you have a group of individuals that are more in tune to businesses separate from individuals that, let's say, for example, the Southwest Advisory Committee knows a lot more about what goes on in the Southwest District than maybe business owners that are more northern up. It's certainly, again, within your purview to separate it by responsibility. It's entirely up to the board.
Mayor.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry. As liaison to Main Street, We haven't had a chance to even talk about this. So, I understand that we're combining, or as of now, it's been the Southwest Advisory Board and Main Street. Is that what you had in mind? I mean, when this is put together as a combined board? Because I don't want to leave Main Street out of this, and we haven't had a chance to even discuss it.
You mean if you had one committee
Yes.
decide? That's certainly an option. If you had one committee and you had individuals representing different groups, that's certainly a combination of both ideas.
Just for the record, I'm not sure, you don't have anything in mind, right? I mean,
No,
think you were kind of just throwing it out there as...
Yeah.
Well, we want something to stick on the wall, so I'm trying to find out what, because the CRA is a large area.
Correct.
And it's not just the Southwest, it's not just downtown, I think the average person would be quite amazed how big our CRA area is. So if there is going to be a board, which I have no problem with that, I just want to make sure that we have representation from all areas of, or at least the two areas that's mentioned here tonight, Main Street and the Southwest.
One thing that I could suggest is that if you could act on the changes, except for the who's going to recommend the programs, and then we can come back to you with some suggestions, or you can think it through for the next time for discussion, but at least we have the structure of the program in place, assuming you like the changes that are being recommended.
Would those changes, I'm sorry? Did I still have the floor?
Please.
Would those changes include keeping at least those two entities, the Southwest Advisory Board and Main Street?
So we could, what I'm suggesting is you decide on everything but that if you're not comfortable in making a decision on who's going to decide on the applications.
But that's my whole point, is I want to make sure that they still have a voice, that those two entities still have a voice.
You can potentially make a motion to approve it, stating that if, let's say, for example, you wanted to have one committee and have Southwest and the Main Street group be represented, that be a requirement for a certain number of seats. That's a possibility. Staff does not have a recommendation. It's totally within the board's purview. But that is one potential option.
And that would be an option that I would consider. I wouldn't consider the other, where the unknown is not knowing who's going to be in that group. So.
Here. Ms. Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a comment and a question. My comment regarding Main Street Organization and the Southwest Advisory Board, I don't see how we can combine two completely different entities into one committee. We have an advisory board that is appointed by the mayor and is voted on by council versus an independent organization that has its own board, its own incorporation, and whatever bylaws they follow. So I don't see combining the two. I would be more for creating a new committee for this. My question for landscaping, through the mayor, through the city manager to Mr. Leonard, landscaping, is it usually an item of a facade program? I mean, I'm not recalling it being something, and so I'm kind of questioning how landscaping would be included as part of a facade program. I know how restricted the county is, even the side of the walls that are facing the street as to what is considered facade. So I'm having a hard time understanding how landscaping is part of that.
Okay. To answer your question, when the program was first designed back in 2008, it was not part of the program. But it was asked, as far as the program, to expand it to include landscape services. Certainly, if you look at some areas within the South, not just the Southwest, but also throughout the CRA, there is a need to do some type of landscape work, and this gives the option of doing that. But again, this is just a recommendation to expand the program to include not just the walls or facade area, but also the side that people see coming across when they're driving down the street. Certainly, there are some businesses that could potentially benefit from this.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I didn't make myself clear, but I wanted to make sure that you understood that when you suggested, just as a suggestion, that so many members of Main Street or so many members of the Southwest Advisory Board, and there might be other members throughout the community of different planning stages, that's what I meant when I said I could go with that, that I just want to make sure that all areas are represented, okay?
Yes, Mr. Shelley.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify as well, when I was speaking about putting the boards together, that's kind of what I was implying, not necessarily taking the two boards and combining them directly, but taking representatives maybe from each board and combining them, giving them seats, so that each area is represented with also maybe some people who are outside of those areas, so that the in general CRA is also represented. So I would support that as well. I did have a question regarding the landscaping as well. I think I raised it when we did the residential facade improvement program. You know, one of my concerns with the landscaping was that it's a product that dies, and so potentially could die if you don't take care of it properly. So then we're giving money out, and I agree that landscaping is important because it does beautify the area. So I see both sides of it, but that was just one of my concerns that I raised before, and it was raised tonight, so I'll kind of echo on that as well and say that, you know, do we have some sort of safeguards in place to make sure that whoever we're giving this money to for landscaping material actually can make sure it has the best chance of living, whether they require sprinkler systems or something, so that we don't donate the money and then turn around and have the plant product die a month later, and that money could have gone to something that was more permanent. That's just a concern that I have.
Sustainability. I agree. Yes, Mr. Williams?
Yes, I think, Mayor, to the Director, I think even with the Southwest landscaping that we looked at, I think we always try to include some irrigation that's part of it, so that you know, we spend the money to put it in, that it's able to be kept up. And I think inclusive of that, that we made sure that it had some irrigation to that effect, if that might clear up anything.
Okay.
Do we have a motion? Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I don't know if
Please,
if
there's not one on the floor for
that's,
this particular item.
do we need a motion, or do we just need to give a point of guidance?
I think we're looking for some direction.
Just direction? Okay. Then you don't need a motion? Or do you need a motion? Motion or not to motion?
Well, you need some motion as it's written. I mean, I'm personally content as it's written.
If you just want to move ahead the item, which are the changes to the facade program, then it needs a motion to make the proposed changes. If you want to do something different, give directions to staff to come up with a proposal for some sort of either overall or specific advisory committee, then you need to make a motion in that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we come up with an advisory committee with representation from the Southwest Advisory Committee, from Main Street, and any other,
I could throw one from my committee, the beautification.
beautification committee, and I want to finish this motion the right way, and any other entity that might have some concern. Okay, a stakeholder.
Within the CRA, right.
Within the CRA. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I think for the purposes of conflicts of interest, I think that potentially the committee that you're recommending here would naturally include people that might create a conflict on the other committee. That's why we need to be just careful that we don't use the same. In other words, this committee, I think, is intended to be representative of the people served by the CRA, and so, but the one dealing with and some of the people that might be receiving grants under the first item might be included in this second committee.
Right.
But the first committee obviously needs to be separate from that because of the fact that there could be a conflict.
Right, and that first committee, their job will be finished.
Done. It's a limited purpose.
It's a very limited committee,
It's
so.
not like, and this one too, right? It's not a carryover. It's completed.
It's up to I don't know whether you're looking for something just to deal with the facade program, or you're dealing with there was some discussion about a broader term committee, but that's up to you.
Personally, as the maker of the motion, I would like to see a committee form, Mayor, if that's all right with you, because this way we don't have to have this discussion every single time that the CRA comes before us with a decision. We would have a recommendation from that committee.
When would it sunset? At the end of the year? At the end of our term? Or?
Whatever you want. I mean, you can set it at a term to end on a specific period. Absolutely.
Mayor?
Yes.
I think, to be consistent, I think in the form of the other boards, I think you made it consistent that to sunset whenever the mayor's term is up.
That's what I had originally done with my appointment.
Yeah. But I thought maybe if you want to continue that, because you are the chair.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
If this is going to be if you're looking at a broader purpose committee, that's not just a limited purpose, is that sort of where the direction people are going? Yes, for the second committee?
That was my intention.
Okay. Then I think that then you might want to consider that it should be a committee of the council and be set up under our normal rules, so we don't have to start recreating the wheel. We could just fit it under our normal structure. It deals with term limits and how the meetings are conducted and all of that, as opposed to, just something from the CRA. Maybe a CRA advisory committee.
Appointed by the mayor and ratified by the council.
Same, under the normal rules that we have, yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just so I'm clear, so we're going from just dealing with a committee for this particular facade improvement program going forward to a general CRA committee that essentially reviews all varieties of things that come before the CRA. Is that now where we're headed with this? Because if it is, the only concern I have is that, it's not, I'd maybe like some more information. I'd like that to be an actual discussion item at another meeting where we actually discuss putting that together. And I don't know how that ties in with now delaying this or one way, but that's the only thing is we're kind of going from a small thing to now talking to something broader that wasn't really on the agenda and there's no background information on. And I would like a little bit more before I vote for that or vote against something to that effect.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah, I need to get clarity now because I think I'm confused. Are we saying that the responsibility that the Southwest Advisory Board currently has in approving applications for the residential, are we saying that we will sunset that and move it under this umbrella that we're discussing tonight? Because if that's so, then I won't be supportive of it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, I didn't understand.
Right now, the board is structured to where that this board gave permission to the Southwest Advisory Board to approve the residential grants that's in the Southwest area. If that is the case, are we saying that we're going to remove that responsibility from the Southwest Advisory Board and create a general board that would deal with all aspects of the grant? For the facade, residential facade program, grant program, commercial facade, and the landscaping, and downtown. Is that what we're saying?
Help us out.
I don't think so, because I think that the difference between this committee is that this is for something for the entire CRA district, and that's something that's specifically for a certain region in the CRA. So there is a distinction between the two.
Well, that's what we're creating all these committees, or advisory boards, or grant boards.
You don't need us.
Yeah, what are we here for? So I say that to say this. If we're going to do that, my concern is that the board has already worked vigorous in taking pride in that responsibility, and then can't speak for Main Street, but I hope we're not saying that, or could we be saying that we want to bring all the grants on the one subsidiary of advisory board that is created,
Mayor,
so that we don't have any.
It's totally within your purview. If whatever the board wants to set it up is how we can set it up. You can do it either way.
Mayor, if I could kind of reshape this just a little bit, maybe we can approach it from a different angle. We're really asking for 5 things on this agenda item. We're trying to find out from the board whether they approve the recommendation to extend the program throughout the CRA district. So that would be yes or no. Next one, to add landscaping services as an eligible improvement. The third one would be to create an enhancement for applicants that fall within the Southwest Neighborhood and Downtown Historic District. The fourth would be to amend the funding for the program to allow awards of $1,000 to $12,000 at a 75% match, and $12,001 to $25,000 at a 50% match, and enhanced areas be eligible for a 90% match up to $12,000. Those are the 4 key policy changes that we're asking for. And then assuming you like those, because if the answer to all 4 is no, leave them the way it is, then we don't even address the issue of who then recommends. If you like those and you want to go with either one or all four of those, then we can say, how would you like the end product to be? Do you want the applications to just be brought forward to the CRA board for a decision? I mean, that's one option you could have. And then the element for the input from the other boards could be, it's a public CRA meeting, they could come and they could express their concerns one way or the other. Or you could delegate that decision to a board or to staff or whoever you'd like. So, but it really is the four policy decisions first, and then who do you want ultimately to make those approval of application decisions?
So let's address the four policy decisions now.
That would be helpful, I
And
think,
then,
so we
and
can at
then,
least...
and give CRA some direction here.
And we don't need a motion for that, I don't believe, a city attorney. I think what we need is for you all to say you approve the four elements, or the three, or the two, or the one, and then from there you can give us some guidance on which body would approve the actual application.
Well, let me ask the council. Personally, I like the entire outline as written. So do we have a majority here who's interested in accepting it the way it is?
I think I'm fine with them. I just got a motion to approve those.
I'll move it.
I just got a question.
Motion, we should take a motion to approve those four
Okay,
changes.
motion to approve as written right now.
Yes, I just got a question. A motion. I'll second.
Second, okay, good. Madam Clerk, call roll.
What a question. Can I just one clarity? Jordan, what is on number 3 to create and enhance for applications that fall within the, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that within those enhanced areas, that up to $12,000, that an applicant in that enhanced area would be eligible for a 90-10 match.
Okay.
Yeah. Answer, bigger project. Okay, Madam Clerk. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Still in all, if we approve all four of these, who makes the decision?
That would be the
Next thing.
That would be the next discussion, and
Okay.
the decision would be made on that.
Right now, we're
If
just-
you don't want to make any changes to the program, then the issue of
I
committee
just wanted that on the record that we're not saying who's making the decision.
Okay, good. We're set. Oh, Madam Clerk. So,
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. Now, we don't really need to address how we handle it this time, do we? Do we need to address now?
I don't believe you have to, although if you'd like to.
No, let's move on. Let's move on and get through the agenda.
Just one question, I
Sure.
could, to the CRA director.
Yeah.
Could you possibly get us some ideas of what other boards do? And
Absolutely.
just forward them to us of what they do that have been successfully?
Absolutely. I can draft up a memo of some options and send that to the complete board.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, item C, economic development programs here. Mr. Chair, is that CRA?
Yep. Staff is seeking direction from the board for potential economic development programs that can be implemented at the next CRA board meeting. The CRA budget for fiscal year 2010-11 includes $216,400 for economic development initiatives within the CRA area. What we've done is I put together a listing of 6 different programs that have been implemented in other CRA districts throughout the state of Florida. Staff is recommending that on a one-year trial basis that the board approve moving forward with items 1, 2, 5, and 6.
1, 2, 5, and 6. Okay, discussion from council.
Can I just...
Please, Mr.
Can I ask why you would like to have 3 and 4, and you don't feel that they should be moved forward just for public hearing?
To be quite honest, one of the things that I was looking at was to kind of diversify the program so that no one specific group benefited from all of the programs. For example, item 1 is clearly for new businesses, but yet you can see that some of the other options deal with current business owners or land stakeholders that currently own property within the CRA. Also, item 3, which is used in other counties, there's a county program through Miami-Dade that has a small business grant program. So, that may not be eligible in the county that the CRA had that, but there's some overlap within that. It's called the Mom and Pop Grant Program, just as an example.
Thank you.
Mr. Leonard, No, I like, item one is, it hits home to me because we are currently losing a business right now. And I know I called you and you called them, and they were very happy that you called them. And the first item, up to $10,000 for interior build-out for a new business. So our sister city, Florida City, lured a very solid practice here in town, a chiropractic practice, to Florida City by saying the rent was very reasonable, and we will give you a grant up to $10,000 to do your new build-out. So those are the kind of things, those are the kind of tools that we need, not only to attract new business, but figure out how to keep our original business, you know?
Yes, sir.
And it's tough. I mean, it's 170 new businesses in 14 months, right now, round numbers, somewhere around there. So that's the backbone of our city. It's the backbone of our country. So thank you for bringing that forward, because this is already being used right down the street, you know, and it's working for them. Council? Questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
I have a concern with number 2. It's just the rent subsidy item. I see the other items, I have no problem with it. I think it's significant investment in the businesses and enticing them to either stay, improve, or come to our area. But I'm just having trouble understanding how a rent subsidy for a year or less would, I mean, one, be justifiable as a CRA investment, and two, any significant, I mean, other than lowering the rent for them for a year or less. I just don't see how it ties into the CRA's purpose. I move to strike number 2.
There's a motion to strike number 2. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion,
I'd like to ask a question here.
please.
I know in other cities they do this with rent. Many other cities, right, Jordan, with CRAs?
There are other CRAs. In fact, that specific program, I pretty much took the idea from another CRA in another county on another coast, actually on the West Coast. So that's, this is something that someone else has actually done before, yes.
And it's been a very successful programs.
I
mean, they have been very successful programs.
I've heard that it's been positive, yes, but I keep in mind, I have mentioned that just because we're giving this what staff is recommending is a 1-year trial. What works in one area may not be effective where we are, and that's why I do put some caution and say, let's try it out as a 1-year trial and see what's effective and what's not. So, I don't want to tell you that it's going to be effective just because it has been effective in, Hillsborough or Okaloosa County, because that may not be the case.
Of course, but in these economic times, any assistance, I'm sure, will be very grateful to any new business or existing business that might want to move into our CRA. So with a trial basis of 1 year, I would want to leave that in.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, Mr. Shelley.
On number 2, I mean, I think when we met, one of the things that you told me was that this was kind of a dual prong part, and that the $500 a month for 1 year for rent assistance was going to help the new businesses obviously move into town, but it also would help out the landlords who own those buildings. So if you had a person who put in an office building, and that way it would help them fill those buildings as well as, so it's kind of that was my understanding, is that correct?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Is that the motivation of this particular
Yes, because
package, or?
what you see with these options are again, a potpourri of different types of people that would be impacted, not just new businesses, but you see existing businesses, you see also people that are landowners, and in this case, that would be a landowner would benefit from that, because hypothetically, I have to say, if no one is in that space and this entices someone to come and rent in their space, then you in essence not just brought in a new business, but helped the current landowner pay whatever their taxes and water and bills and whatnot. So it's supposed to have that ripple effect.
Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Lebos.
when you talk about a return on investment on the CRA area, I mean, wouldn't it also, maybe if you wanted to go in this direction, could restrict it to a type of business that, I mean, let's say that far-reaching here, you would help with rent. Wouldn't it be beneficial to restrict it to a business that within that short period of time we would see a turnaround in return on investment into the community rather than just the landlord? perhaps, something that would have some type of immediate job creation, perhaps more of a retail service aspect, rather than just something that provides services at, the community. We're talking about CRA and a quick turnaround of improvement to a blighted area. I mean, that's within the context of what I'm thinking. And that's why that rent subsidy was something that was far-reaching outside of that scope for me.
You could limit it, absolutely. If the board desires to limit the scope to that, to only certain types of businesses, that certainly can be done. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just going to put on the record, I don't think it should be limited, because what service one business might provide may not be a service that another business would provide, or it may not be retail or whatever. And I think right now we're just looking for downtown to have some really good tenants and give them some incentives. And in the years that I've served on this council, that's been one of our problems here in Homestead. We have not given incentives like we should have. Especially a few years ago, we should have been giving more incentives. So at one-year trial, I don't see how it would hurt, and I would hate to see a limitation on what kind of business you have to have before you're given that. Let me tell you, all the businesses that I know are hurting right now. And I mean, I'm just speaking for myself and for my friends and people that I talk to on a daily basis. But any little bit of help you get is welcome help. And again, I think a one-year trial basis, it couldn't hurt.
And I echo that. I don't think a one-year trial basis could hurt either. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Shelley.
Question. You say that this is for new business and existing?
Which item, I'm sorry?
Two.
For two, that is for qualified new businesses moving in.
Right, so
Correct.
not existing.
For item two, correct.
Right, so then what we're talking about really doesn't even matter, because we can give assistance, you're talking about for new business. If he was saying existing...
Not to limit it to a certain type of business.
No, but what I'm saying is that he's indicating that this program is for new businesses coming into the area.
Right.
So what we're talking about, I think we're talking apples and oranges, really. If I'm mistaken, correct me, please. But you're talking about new businesses, right?
Yes, for item two specifically, it is geared towards new businesses moving in, as so the incentive would be that if you moved into the CRA, you start your business there, that we would provide this incentive for you to move there with the hopes that you would stay there after the subsidy had passed.
So not existing business?
Correct.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make that clear, because...
But also keep in mind, though, that it does affect a current business, because the landowner, the person that rents the space, is a business too. And that's the whole point, is that you're not just affecting new people coming in, but the people that money can potentially impact positively the people that are renting the space. And they are current business owners.
The landlord.
Right.
The landlord.
Right, but that means that I would have to go into that spot and say, I'm going to provide a new business here.
Correct.
It doesn't happen if I don't go in and say I want a new business here, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, I understand what you're doing, but you still need a new business.
Yes, sir.
In order for that to happen, the
Yes.
down trickle effect to happen.
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Any further questions before we vote on the second motion here? Motion that Ms. Lobos made.
First, which would be the motion to strike.
This motion is strike, right. So we have that motion on the floor. We have a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Board Member Shelley?
No.
Board Member Williams?
Yay.
Vice Chairwoman Warman?
No.
Board Member Burgess?
No.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
No.
The motion fails.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, now we vote on
On the original
motion. But that'll be accepting 1, 2, 3, and 5, correct?
No. 1, 2, 5, 6.
1, 2, 5, and 6. Okay, I'm marking. Got my glasses up all wrong. 1, 2, 5, and 6.
My glass.
That's right. 1, 2, 5, and 6. Okay. Any final questions on 1, 2, 5, and 6 before we call the roll?
We don't have a motion.
Oh, we don't?
I'll make a motion.
I move it.
Second. All right, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Warman?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, looks like item D, Washington Avenue Phase 1 Engineering Services, tab 5.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the CRA Board approve the attached resolution authorizing a change order in the amount of $2,500 for additional engineering services associated with plan revisions for the Washington Avenue Phase 1 infrastructure project from HSQ Group, Inc.
Okay, you want to, I know you read that, but you want to explain a little bit about the project and what's happened so far and just good old...
Yes, sir. I'd like to defer to Mr. Lampert, who
Sure.
could help us with this item.
I guess the thing that caught my eye the most about this,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Leonard and Mr. Lampert, is we've had the money for 10 years. We've had those funds for 10 years, and we're now completing the project. That's incredible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Lampert, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Manager, members of the council. That isn't due to the concern in reference to the electrical. Instead of coming off of a transformer, it was to a meter. And when it goes to a meter, it requires electrical permit from our department. With that in mind, although they had a permit from the Public Works Department, they did not have a permit from our end of it, which they had failed to get. They thought they had one because of going through Public Works. So I got involved at that point, and those are the things that we had on review comments that they had to fix, and that is why we need to have this here so they can go ahead with the comments answered and have a revision to the original plans.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Tom, shouldn't they have done this in the first place? And didn't an employee get shocked very badly because of this inferior work?
I think, Vice Mayor, I believe that what happened there is that it came off of, they thought it came off a transformer. When it goes off a transformer, there is no need for a permit from our end of it. So when that happened, it had to revert back to, I believe, HSQ would be the one that was inspected at that time, but inevitably it came from a meter, which involved me or the city.
But wasn't it substandard work?
There was some problems that they had there, but since then I believe they got it straightened out to where everything's safe now, from what I understand. I mean, I can defer to Jordan or...
Yeah, my understanding is that they're complying with what, through Mr. Lampert's office.
So the $2,500, that would be paid to HSQ
Correct.
That is correct.
for substandard work in the first place?
No, to submit drawings so that it complies with the National Electric Code for
That's what
them
I'm
to
trying
have
to
a permit.
find out is why they didn't do it in the first place. That's all I'm trying to
Well,
find out.
and let me help her. Was it on the
Help me.
original plans? Was it on the original plans? Is this something that wasn't on the plan, so now they can come back with a change order and say, we want $2,500 to draw it, we want $5,000 to put it in? I mean, if it was on the plan, I mean, easy...
Let me answer. From what I understand from our chief electrical, it was not on the plan. Some of it was on the plan, yes, but some of it wasn't on the plan.
That's why we're drawing it now, because it wasn't on the plan. And if it was, it wasn't drawn right on the plan.
That is correct.
Who
I mean, you want me to ask the local architect here who's drawing the plan?
submitted
Maybe,
the plan?
maybe you can tell us, Robert, what happened and why we're paying to have this kind of money to have this one problem fixed.
He doesn't know what we're talking
No,
about.
he drew it.
No,
He can't even pay to draw it.
He's not even-
What the book says.
No, he's
Robert
not.
Barnes,
No.
Architects, 21 North Chrome Avenue. This isn't my project.
No, that's not.
Oh, I thought, well, no, I thought the drawing part was your project. Oh, the windows.
I gave the land to the city so they could build the plaza.
He donated
I
though.
got you. He did the window. I
But-
get you.
but-
Different change order.
But if I start on the floor,
You do.
I'm still trying to figure out
What happened?
what happened, because if some of it was in the plan, oh, Julio. Julio.
I can probably shed some light into this.
Not Romeo.
I'll give it my best shot. I believe what happened in this case is a matter of unknown conditions that were below ground, basically, when the drawings were put together. In other words, the way the wiring was set up at the point where this particular project was tying into wasn't completely known, per se, and it was assumed that it was a certain way, when in reality, once it was dug up and the connections were made, and that's when the people out there realized that it was an actual live electric wire, when it shouldn't have been at that point. That's when they realized that the hookup that was there existing was done in a different fashion than what was anticipated it to be. So that's why it was really, it's what we call in the business an unforeseen condition, where you don't know what is underground until you actually get to that point and dig it up or test it. And
you're saying
there's
it
no way to know that before. When you're doing the plans, there's no way to really figure that out until you actually open up that area and do
So
it.
you're saying it wasn't their fault, and
I don't believe in this case it was. I don't believe it was.
So, well, we got you, Julio. So it's $2,500 to draw the drawings, and it's $1,800 to put it in.
Well, the 2,500 is to basically change the drawings to match the existing conditions, so that they can go back to our planning and zoning department, so they can get approved, by our review engineers. The installation is a separate, that goes to the contractor, not to these people. So it's two different entities.
Is that coming up next?
That, I believe that's coming up next, yes.
yep.
That's the next item, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because one is a result of the other. In other words, the drawings need to be done in order to reflect what the changes that need to be made on the field to make it safe and make it meet the NEC, the National Electric Code.
Is that $2,500 off a lot of money? Yes, that's your
That item is not, we haven't brought to you an item yet to actually finish that. That hasn't been brought to you yet, and that's not on tonight.
Okay.
What's on tonight is just for the revision of the plans.
Okay, so, good deal. Thank you. Sure. Any further questions on this item right here, the HSQ item, the drawings, the additional drawings needed for $2,500? Hearing no further questions, Madam Clerk, let's call the roll. Vote yes to approve it, of course, no not to.
We don't have a motion.
We don't?
I'll move it.
Second.
I'll second.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Board Member Williams? Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. Washington Avenue again, tab 6. Mr. Leonard.
Tab 6, staff recommends that the CRA Board approve a change order in the amount of $1,799.43 for the removal of a concrete trench associated with Washington Avenue Phase 1 infrastructure project from Tran Construction, Inc.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing no questions, Madam Clerk?
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 7, Washington Avenue, $15,000.
Tab 7. Staff recommends that the CRA Board approve the attached resolution authorizing a change order in the amount of not to exceed $15,000 for additional engineering services associated with the compliance of Florida Department of Transportation grant procedures for the Washington Avenue Phase 1 infrastructure project from HSQ Group, Inc. And let me note that that's not to exceed $15,000, so that does not mean that we will necessarily spend $15,000.
Mayor,
Please.
a couple of years ago, the word change order was just poison. I mean, you just never did that, ever, ever, ever. And it just seems like tonight it's one change order after the other, and $15,000 is a lot of money, so how can we justify that this $15,000 should be spent? I guess I'm asking you to convince me.
Just so you know, Madam Vice Chair, that for this specific change order, we believe that the amount is going to be somewhere a little over $3,000, actually. That's what we've been notified from the company. But of course, we put this item on the agenda before we got this word from the company. But
Can we change it to 3,000 right now?
well, right now I have it for 3,180, but I would recommend that we keep it, an amount higher just in case they send another bill. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the exact final number. I don't want to have to come back to you with another change order for, $100 or $1,000 or whatnot. But I know that item is going to be lower than 15,000.
Make it 5 or 6.
I just want to hear from more than that. Project was not yours. You've been here that long, so make me feel warm and fuzzy, Julio. Is this legit?
Well, this particular change order is not due to any construction changes or any actual scope of work change or anything on the field itself. This change order is in order to meet the grant requirements, because this is a lab agreement project that is a federal project that requires some additional paperwork, certification of payrolls, etc. It's a very extensive process that they require. When this project was originally awarded for the engineering services for this particular project, we didn't have a lab agreement. It wasn't a lab agreement grant project. So therefore, those requirements weren't anticipated. Now, we're coming towards the end of the project. This paperwork has to be done. It has to be certified by an engineer. So in order not to lose the grant funding, we need to meet that requirement. And the way we need to do it is by basically having these additional services provided by the engineers. So it's not a change of the scope of work or the actual construction of the project. This is more administrative, operations that need to be performed by the engineering firm.
Okay. In lieu of time, I won't ask you again why it took us 10 years to spend the money.
Oh, that I don't know.
That's amazing that we were able to keep it for 10 years. Okay. Any further questions on this particular item, tab 7? Hearing no further questions, Madam Clerk?
We need a motion.
Motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Roll call.
Board Member Lobo?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Warman?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab.
Excuse me,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Was that motion for the 15,000?
Yes, it was.
So,
For the
I thought I was voting on,
Nobody ever seconded.
Nobody ever,
no one seconded it?
I didn't see a second. I may have missed it.
I didn't hear. I asked
I didn't even know the motion even, I mean, I thought that,
motion for this, but not for
What do we
what
do?
she wanted to do additionally.
pardon me?
Move to reconsider.
Okay, Mayor, I move to reconsider as per, tell me what to
Flip
say.
back to page 8.
John,
I'd like to see it.
It requires a second.
I'll second.
We need to vote on the motion to reconsider, please.
Okay, well, we've got a motion on the floor to reconsider, to go back to this item.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Warman?
yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay.
I
Floor
guess
is yours.
to Mr. Leonard, if it would so please some of the people, could we make $6,000 a number? $5,000? You said you're asking for 3,100 and some change.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so why don't we make it $6,000, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Up to 6,000.
Got a motion and a second, right? Well, let's vote on that. Madam Clerk. We're voting on the amended dollar amount. We have moved it from $15,000 not to exceed to $6,000 not to exceed.
Okay. Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos? Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can move on to 8, right? No, it's good, it's perfect. Okay, next item here for staff recommendation, CRA, tab 8.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the CRA Board approve a change order in the amount not to exceed $15,000. I'm sorry, it's similar, but this is the construction side of it. For additional engineering services associated with compliance to FDOT grant procedures for the Washington Avenue Phase 1 infrastructure project from Trang Construction, Inc. This is the same item, except instead of HSQ, which was the consultant, this is the actual company doing the work. There needs to be that connection that both of them need to be there's paperwork for both of them to complete in order to be reimbursed for this program. And if it makes you feel better, this is certainly you're looking at potentially paying $15,000 for this item, but the alternative is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Please.
I just want to say one thing. Mr. Leonard, what I said before about the change orders and bad. I mean, I want to compliment you because, you know, I'm sure you've only been here, what, 2 months, 3 months?
6 months.
6 months?
6 months, I know.
Holy.
I grow up.
But anyway, time does fly by. But, you know, I know that there was probably a lot of stuff that, you know, thank goodness that you're going back and you're finding all this stuff, because we would lose so much if we didn't have your diligence, and so I commend you and applaud you for that. And I didn't want you to think that I was criticizing you in any way, because I know that you came into this and you've done a great job.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I appreciate that.
Okay, with that said...
I'll make the motion.
Made a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call roll. Please.
Vice Chairwoman Woman?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos? Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 9. Tab 9, resolution. Old Town Hall, Museum Preservation. I imagine there's a change order there, right?
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the CRA Board approve the attached resolution authorizing a change order in the amount of $800 for additional architectural services at the historic Old Town Hall building from Robert Barnes and Associates.
I'll move it.
Second.
Comment.
Please.
I know when this project came before us for its original okay, I said, don't come back to us.
I
But in
remember.
light of what you're coming back to us with is some window framing that was done in, I don't know, Tom, what year you could tell me it was, but that's an unforeseen thing, so I will forgive you this time, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. I told him I'd forgive him because I told him not to bring any change orders back when we did this originally.
Yeah, you don't see item 10.
In light of these windows being framed out in 19 whatever. Yeah. Before Tom's day, I believe.
1920. Well, Ruth left, she could tell us. She left, God bless her. Ruth, when was it built? When was the old City Hall built? Not 1913, was it? 1917. Oh, my God. Here's our
We
historian.
could get some of those carpenters back. Anyway, thank you, that's all I have now.
Okay, further questions on this? Hearing no further questions, Madam Clerk, we got a motion? Motion for approval?
Got a motion. Yeah.
Okay, second, all right. Let her rip.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Woman? Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, tab 10.
Yes.
Change order.
Second change order, right?
Yes, sir.
Old Town Hall. Okay.
Yes.
Rip into there, Jordan.
Staff recommends that the CRA Board approve the attached resolution authorizing a change order in the amount of $18,865 for additional restoration work at the historic Old Town Hall building from Design Build Inter-American.
Okay, we have a motion?
Moving.
Second. Okay, questions. Tom, on that structure, and Ruth probably, I should probably ask Ruth that, well, why don't we have impact windows since we do have impact
We
windows?
do, in fact, I gave the board notice, in fact, you should have on the dais right now that they are impact windows, and that was...
Because that was a question I had
Yes.
for Mr. Leonard, and he wasn't at that time able to answer, but that's great. That's because you don't want to mess up the look of the outside of that by sticking a shutter on it.
Yeah, they are impact
Yeah.
windows.
Okay, we've got a second, a motion and a second for the $18,865. Madam Clerk, call.
Board Member LaRose?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Board Member Virgin?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman? Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, tab 11. Tab 11, we're going to do a presentation from the Dade Medical College group, and I'm going to, at this time, allow the Vice Mayor to chair the meeting. And Mr. Manager, please contact me as soon as it's over, so I'm back for the next one.
Okay, I didn't know this, so here we go. This would be tab 11, and is it presentation?
Yes.
Okay,
We have a
good job.
presentation.
Please identify yourself. Thank you.
My name is Ernesto Perez. I'm the president of Dade Medical College. We're located at 381 North Chrome currently, and a couple other buildings up the block, as well as the School of Nursing, as well as some refurbishing that we're doing with 107 and 109. Again, I'm not much of a presentation, so thank you for taking the time and listening to me here. But the bottom line, back in, I want to say, July or August of 2009, Dade Medical College came to the city of Homestead with a proposition that if we were allowed to rezone or get a variance on the current zoning that there was at the time, for us to be able to establish a campus of Dade Medical College in the historic district. With that being said, the commission had the vision and enough belief in us at the time to allow us to do so. With that, on my part, came the promise that we were going to create jobs within the community where there were none in the area, and we were also going to try and bring back a certain amount of life and pedestrian traffic to the area. I'm happy to say that currently, today, Dade Medical College has brought 63 jobs and growing, with an average of about $45,000 median salary, that does not include the benefits. We've also brought about 200, currently to date, I think we have about 250 students, which on a daily basis are basically visiting the businesses up and down Chrome, where there was none before. With that being said, I had spoken to several city council members and basically explained to them our further vision that we have for the historic Chrome area. Going back before that, I think I should mention also that I fell in love with this area when I came down here. We had literally rented space at the Homestead Plaza where the Winn-Dixie is. We basically went head-to-head with the landlord. He didn't want to work any terms with us at all, and I just said, you know what, I've got the license, I've got our accreditation already in place, and I started looking around, and I noticed that the old town was a beautiful place. Somebody had already started some work on it. The sidewalks were brick paved, the lighting was there, and I said, you know, wow, this is something where I think we have something to work with here. And we basically, before even speaking to the city council or anybody, said, hey, you know, fine, I committed, I signed a lease, and we began trying to go through the permitting process, and I didn't realize it was highly retail. Beyond that, I also went as far as buying some properties in the process. So we currently own, I think, about 16,000 square feet that have been refurbished in the area. Moving forward towards this project, the reason that we would like to buy these properties is because I have a vision that there should be a university in the historic district. And again, if you look at some of the photos that we presented within our packages, these are some rough renderings that we've had, just the possibility of what we see that could happen in the area. And again, this just would not be a medical campus. It would be a wholehearted effort as far as business, masters in business, masters in architecture. I mean, just a full-blown university that could service the Homestead area. This is a beautiful area. There's no reason why it should be blighted, in my opinion. I'm not one to, again, we have done everything that we've done in the city of Homestead today has been out of our own pocket. I don't come here today asking for any kind of incentive. I think the incentive is there, and my history within the city in this short period of time is proven. We've invested, I want to say, over $2 million already in infrastructure and refurbishing projects that we've done, and we continue to invest in the area. And in essence, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you look at the pictures, basically I had my guy I said, I want something that looks like Georgetown. So my architect actually went out and got a rendering on this side. I don't know if you guys have it in your package. If we could, Liz, you think we could bring this so we can show the city council folks? Yes, that one. And basically, he literally lifted two buildings from Georgetown and put them into where they would theoretically be. But anyways, so again, and again, going back to this, I'm sure you folks have some questions, but the bottom line is that I don't come promising things. I think my track record speaks for itself. So again, I would like to answer any questions you folks might have.
Vice Chairwoman?
Mr. Williams, go ahead.
Question. I've been talking with the Executive Director, Jordan. Where did you come up with your price for the properties? Where do you get that?
I basically came up with the price after speaking to a realtor and speaking to some folks around that are involved in development. I understand that it is a bit lower, or substantially lower than what the city might have paid for, but we're dealing with different times. I mean, the city's been, I believe that land that the city's been currently sitting on it for a better part of 15 to 20 years, from what I understand, maybe a little less.
Question. In the agreement, you're asking the city to pay the broker the commission fee. Why is that? I mean, maybe you can help me, Vice Chairwoman Woolman. Is it normal that if a seller is selling the property, that we pay the commission if they're asking to buy the property from us? It's not for listing. They're asking to buy the property for us.
Normally, only if the property is listed does the seller pay the commission.
So, question, why would you ask the City of Homestead or the CRA to pay the commission for the broker?
I'll be quite honest with you, I've never been in a transaction where I've paid the commission. If this is something that's absolutely something where the city feels uncomfortable with, we can work something out. We can figure out what you guys feel comfortable with. I mean, it's just traditional transactions that I've done in the past. The seller has always sold them, and I'll be quite honest with you, I was more involved with the development of the package, not really the contract of the real estate deal into it on itself,
Let me just say, I support your project, okay. Offhand, so that you don't have any concerns where I'm coming from.
Right, not at all.
Just concerned about that portion, and wanted to know, because from I've ever known, I've not ever seen that before. So you're saying you've not seen that, and I'm saying I've never seen it. So
right, I understand.
Perhaps with some guidance.
Well, I was going to wait, but I will say this, that I was so concerned when I saw this in the package. I went to Mr. Leonard and I asked him if he had a discussion with you about this, and you indicated to me that you had asked him to take that out, correct? To remove it from the package?
That was one recommendation.
So I just don't see how we can spend taxpayers' dollars and CRA dollars for a real estate commission. And these properties weren't listed. They weren't on the market. So, and I support the project as well, you know I do, but I can't support that. And I'm a realtor, and I know how hard it is, and Roxanne's a dear friend of mine. But I just, you know, there's just some things that a city can do, and I don't even know if it's legal. Is it even legal for us to do that, to take CRA funds and pay a commission?
Yeah, we'd have to check.
Well, if I can interject there, I mean, we're talking about $30,000, $35,000, whatever we're talking, I mean,
We're actually talking about,
how much?
I figured it out here.
$32,000.
$32,947.50.
Well, if the 50 cents is a problem, I'll cover that. No, I mean, listen, guys, and with all due respect, I mean, I'm not in this to make a buck today or tomorrow. I'm in this for the city of Homestead. And if the $32,000 is an issue, I mean, I don't have a problem whatsoever in striking it if it makes everybody feel more comfortable with it. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, keep in mind that we're not asking for any CRA money. We're not asking for anything at all. Keep in mind the financial times that we currently are living, and I think, you know, as an act of good faith, I don't care. I mean, I'll remove that if it makes you guys feel more comfortable. It's not an issue to me.
Mr. Williams, you still have the floor?
Okay, thank you. Well, then, if that is the case, then I'm very comfortable in moving forward with it, if we can correct that minor detail. My other question is to staff. Was this, or maybe because I want to see if we have any continuity in that the properties that he's looking at, was that property ever was supposed to be developed to a parking lot for Losner Park, anything like that, or are we talking about a different lot?
Respectively, I've heard several different opinions as to how those properties were supposed to be developed. That's one concept that I've heard. I've also been told by staff members that perhaps an additional phase to the Pioneer Village is another option. So to be quite honest, I respectfully don't have enough information to be able to give you a concrete answer on that.
Mr. Williams, if I can answer, and then Mr. Burgess wants to say something.
Sure.
We had a master plan.
That's my next question.
Paid for a master plan. We can't, no one seems to know where it is, but we had a master plan, and I sat in on every single one of those meetings. Chief, weren't you there with me, I think? I know Robert was there with me on all those master plan meetings. We've got in Jackson. We had it in the upstairs conference room. You were there too, Mike? Yeah. Okay, so we did have plans. I love the idea of the university. A question that I had was how much of the property, because it's approximately 168,000 square feet of property, how much of the property would be encumbered by the university itself? And then do you have any plans for any retail or apartments or anything that would be on the tax rolls?
My answer to that, my immediate, I mean, my immediate answer to that is yes. Now, I cannot at this point in time tell you folks exactly what percentage would be and what wouldn't be. I mean, this is very preliminary on our end. I mean, for all I know, I would come up here today and you guys would say no. So, I mean, why am I going to waste time or money with something that's a dead issue on arrival? But again, there will be some retail. What my vision of Homestead is to make it the last stop before you get to the Keys. I mean, I sit there and I count cars when I'm eating at the Mexican restaurant there on the corner of La Esquina Tejas, and all I do is count. That person could have stopped, but there was no reason to stop. That person could have stopped, but there was no reason to stop. And I think one of the biggest points that we're missing with the vendors there, and respectfully I say this, and with the community that's currently there now, we have architects, we have attorneys, we have physicians that work. Where are their services? Where can they get a sandwich? Where can they buy a burger? Where can they get anything there? What gives the police department a reason to walk up the street and go have a bite to eat? I mean, the Mexican food's great, I mean, but there's just three things to eat there, or three things to do. My vision is I have 250 hungry kids there on a daily basis. I have 60 folks that come that work here in the area on a daily basis. They have nowhere to go but there. They have nowhere to go. even the few vendors that we do have there, Mamma Mia's are there all the time. Ask Alfredo. You can see him there Monday through Friday, pretty much, our campus director. But the bottom line with that is that if you, I believe in you, if you build it, they will come. I mean, no, I didn't do a demographic or anything like that when I decided to put the school there. I had a product that I think people needed. The city of Homestead was lacking, and currently we have 250 folks that proved me right. You know, so I think what I want to create there is an area where mothers can stroll, stop, do some shopping, check out. I mean, you know, maybe get a book, buy a book, share a sandwich, do something, and feel safe doing that. Which, by the way, I have to commend the police department and Chief Rowe. I mean, you guys have done an incredible job since we've been there. And I mean, I was bumping into all sorts of people when we were starting this back in 2009, and the police department has definitely stepped up and come in and definitely cleaned up the area. And I think, again, if you build you know, you have to start somewhere, and education is a key, in my opinion, to building community, and we can grow from there. So
I think Mr. Burgess wanted to...
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for what you have done downtown so far. I think your vision has helped to, and your vision for the future brings a lot of good ideas to downtown, so thank you for your investment and your vision. Thank you to Mr. Williams for taking care of the one concern that I had also there with the realtor. My question to the attorney was, and he's looking it up for us now, and I think it goes to you guys, and Vice Mayor Waldman touched on it, is tax rolls. And I'm not sure what your status is, profit, not-for-profit. So I was wondering, and he's looking it up now to see if you guys would even fall back onto our tax rolls when this land was sold.
I could pretty much answer that. I'm a sitting commissioner with the Department of Education for our sector. As far as our school, we are a for-profit. However, we are tax exempt for any space that we are conducting education in. Now, again, my plan, you know, obviously, I don't think with 168,000 feet, I'm not looking to put the university to encompass the whole area. Again, our students and our faculty will be requiring services, and at the end of the day, as a for-profit, in all honesty, I heard you folks talking about parking, and we talk about retail. In all honesty, I can put a university anywhere. I mean, we're being asked right now by the city of Brooksville up in Tampa for us to open a campus there because of with incentives and because they believe the businesses will thrive around our area. I don't take statistics much to heart. In all honesty, they're just, you know, ink on paper as far as I'm concerned. But if you go by what the Beacon Council says, the Beacon says that for every job we create, we bring in 1.5 new jobs. I don't know if I see that. The bottom line is I can tell you that Dade Medical College has created 63. Now, whatever happens from that move forward, you know, that's a plus and a added value. So with that being said, if the real estate, you know, obviously if we build this and we prosper together and the college is there and we have a couple thousand kids here on a daily basis, think of this, you know, me as a business person, I prefer to have it as retail so I can rent it at 2 or 3 times whatever I paid or put into it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, and when we talk about parking as well, we talk about parking. Well, we need parking. Let's build parking. There's, you know, that was back in 2009. There was concerns with the previous mayors, like, well, we have a major issue with parking. No, you don't. There's nobody parking there. Nobody goes there. Why would you have problems with parking? There's parking everywhere. When we get to these issues, I believe we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's plan for it. Let's not pretend that it might not exist. But I think the city of Homestead, as far as I'm concerned, is a gem. You know, my dad calls it like the Indians. You're asking for handouts and you're sitting on a pile of gold. You know, and I believe that's where the possibilities that we have. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's preferable for me to tell you I'm going to have XYZ amount of space for university and XYZ amount of space for retail. So we don't intend to hide under the blanket of education.
Well, I wasn't sure of your status, so that cleared that up for me. Secondly, I guess to Mr. Leonard and to you, you said that you chose a number. You came up with your number, and I can't remember your exact quote of how you said you came up with the dollar figure. Mm-hmm. I would like to see, and that comes out to about roughly 50% of what the tax appraiser puts these properties at. Is that correct, Mr. Leonard?
Just a tad under 50% of the 2010 assessed value from the county.
I personally would like to see some sort of independent appraiser come in, do it, make sure, just out of all fairness to the citizens and the CRA that own it, an independent appraiser, nobody, the city goes out and gets like we have for the racetrack, piece of property, and work on something like that if other people would, and see where we come in at. And I know that today's a lot different than any other day, but I would like to do that, to see where we stand as a city.
May I ask a question for clarification? Do you want them individually appraised or collectively all subsumed as if they would all be sold together?
Well, assuming since he wants to buy them all together, I think that's the way that you do it.
Okay.
That's my idea. Now, whether that's the rest of the board's idea and they're in agreement with me, that's something we have to ask.
Ms. Lobos?
Thank you. Kind of going along the same theme, I know that at the last board meeting that we had in regards to all these properties that we do own, we did say that we just didn't want to get rid of them just because we needed to get rid of them. I know that we had accumulated 82 or 83 lots and that we were not willing to sell under what the market was out there. And so I kind of agree, I agree with Board Member Burgess. I supported your Dade Medical College from the beginning. I think that just with the renovation of that corner building, the enhancement to that whole area is just spectacular. So I continue to support your project. I have a question about procedure going forward. Tonight, we're just giving you permission to go forward on this to negotiate. Is that what I understood?
Well, negotiate or not negotiate. In other words, we weren't sure whether your conclusion after seeing the presentation was, well, we kind of like what they're proposing, so why don't you meet with them and start working out some details, or we kind of like what you're proposing, but maybe we should RFP the site first, or we don't like it at all, but we want to put the properties out to the market. So we saw the possibility of a variety of options, and we were hoping for some direction.
I have a follow-up question then. Not going out to RFP, are we restricted in any way in negotiating with Dade Medical College?
That depends upon how the property was acquired. Some of the properties were actually acquired before our firm was even involved, so we don't. Some of the properties we have records on, so we know where the funds came from, and we can trace those back because we have to see whether some of them were acquired with particular grants or this or that, and whether there's any restrictions on our selling those properties. Other properties we have to go back and see what kind of records the city has and see if we can reconstruct. But that would be the first one, and the other thing is that before we can sell CRA properties, we need to publish 30 days and give other people an opportunity to look at those properties and know that they're for sale.
I just have one last...
That's the minimum procedure that we have to use.
Okay, I have one comment that I know that there's this discussion about whether all of it would go back on the tax rolls or not, and I see it as an investment. I mean, the return on what you guys would do with that property is significant to the city of Homestead. And I know we don't have a land disposal policy that the CRA has come up with as to how we're going to dispose of this and, where we would see whether the property would go for profits or non-profits. But on this individual project, I do support that.
Thank you. I believe the realtor who's representing me would like to say a couple words, Roxanne.
Do you want us to go ahead there and continue with this
Let me ask you that.
line of questioning, and then
With a guest.
I don't want to break the train of thought that we have going here.
Not a problem.
Mr. Shea.
Yeah, again, I echo you guys have done a fabulous job downtown. When you guys first came in, there was kind of some controversy, but you guys have really proven yourself. I mean, it's the facade improvements that you've done. I mean, to see people on the streets walking back and forth, it's a new dynamic for the downtown area. Now, with that being said, I do have a few kind of concerns. I mean, the proposal, I know that it's just kind of a proposal. You're kind of testing the waters to see if there's interest in it. And I can say that I like the concept. Conceptually, I think it's good. But I would like to see some more detail before I, say, yeah, let's go for it. I do want to see more retail in addition to the school aspect of it. You guys have done a good job so far doing retail in the front and kind of school in the back, and I like that a lot. Because again, I talked with the CRA director probably a few months ago and said, we have all these properties, let's try to put them all together and let's find an anchor to come downtown. And so I'm glad to see you guys have kind of stepped up and tried to be that anchor. So I do applaud you for that. Now the only thing is though, I I personally would like to see this go out to an RFP, though. I mean, I would like to find out who is interested. Let's put it all out there, and let's find out who wants to do what with this property. And then at the end, you guys may be the only applicants. You may be the only people that apply, in which case, we can go forward with negotiations. But I would like to see, because it is public property, I want to see it put out for an RFP. I want to see how many responses we get, what kind of visions people have, and I would like to see a little bit more detail than what you have here. I'd like to really see it laid out, maybe more of a site plan than just two building renderings. And I mean a formal site plan, but something a little bit more than what we've gotten so far. So I mean that's what I would like to see, going forward. And because again, you're recommending that it's a 2-year process is really what you've got before. So there's no rush. You're saying that you want to buy it. If we go forward with it, then you're going to give us a year before you come back with any kind of formal plan. And then a year after that, you hope to actually be starting to build. So I don't see why there'd be a necessary not to have a little bit of a delay to go ahead and do the RFP. So that's just my.
I will say this, and again, this is what my CFO calls a nice to have, not a need to have. As I said, our school has been solicited by other counties, and respectfully, Councilman Shelley, I totally understand what you're saying, but you're talking about a piece of land that has been there for I don't know how many years. We're going to bring in, or we would bring in whoever you like. At the end of the day, if they don't have the vehicle, which in all honesty, I'm on my way to Jacksonville on Monday to purchase, which means I can put it wherever I want. It's going to be a very precise, unless there's an upsurge in the market, which a few of my friends here in the real estate market and the development seem to be on the know. I'm just a humble educator here. That's all I pretty much do as far as that. I mean, I just have an idea, and I like moving quickly. I'm not the kind of person that wants to wait 2, 3, and 4 months because, again, it's just. I just think talking and going back and forth with stuff, I'm not too good at. But again, I have nothing to hide. I have no concerns. But the bottom line is, I would like to see something resolved on the shorter end, as opposed to having this linger for 2, 3, 4 months. Because between me and you, if you have a baby today, 6 months from now, she's crawling or walking. You know what I mean? And that's the what doesn't seem to be a long period of time ends up being a long period of time, and we're putting stuff out there. If we don't move in 6 months, that puts us out, 3 or 4 years out the line from where we are today. So again.
Okay, thank you. I have quite a bit to say.
I just got a quick comment. The manager asked that they were looking for direction, and the CRA director did. I support this project. I just want to make sure that what we're giving away, what we're selling, one, it's done legally. Richard said we need a 30-day notice regardless of where we go today. So we need to do that. And two, I would like to have an independent just to see where his offer is compared to what the value of these lands are. So I have a better idea of what we're selling this gentleman if we choose to sell it. So I do support it. And my idea is those two things, that we do everything above board and as we always do. And that's what I need to see to make this go forward. And I understand time. You don't want to be 6 months down the road kicking the can, waiting for an answer. So I understand that. But we're at least a 30-day minimum.
I understand that wholeheartedly.
For legalities. So, I mean, with that being said, I do support it. What I would like to see, and I don't know what the rest of the board would like to see, is like I said, an independent.
So to clarify, though, don't begin negotiations with them until we get that information and bring it back to the board, or start discussing terms with them?
That's up to everybody. I think it's important before you, in my eyes, I think it's important before we start discussions to see where we are, so we're not going against ourselves.
Okay.
If I can ask, if you wouldn't mind asking a question, I've got, obviously, I guess you'd say touche. Now, my question to the commission is this: if the appraisal comes back and it's for less than what I'm offering, would we make an adjustment?
May I?
It may be a top secret appraisal now.
Okay. I'm going to take my vice mayor hat off here and put my realtor hat on, which I've been in the real estate market for over 30 years and the note and mortgage business for over 15 years. I think that you have single-handedly changed Chrome Avenue, our downtown. I think you've done a really good job. This isn't something I need right now? Okay. When somebody hands you something in the middle, I wonder if it's something to do. But if you follow the trends and you follow the real estate market throughout the United States right now, 50 cents on the dollar is good. Let me tell you what, it is good. And don't forget that we pay taxes in arrears, so those assessed values are old when we get them. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I mean, you can look at the single-family homes. If you get 50 on the foreclosures, if you get 50 cents on the dollar, you've done a really good job. But most of those houses, you don't even get the 50 cents on the dollar. So I know that you are I hate to use these words, but it's the only way I can describe you, a mover and a shaker. And when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And you're proven. You've proven it in downtown. I can imagine that there are many cities who are begging you to come there with this university. And I originally thought that the university was going to be just a medical university. But you're saying it's going to be, you're going to have lots of different...
With what I call the vehicle, which is the accrediting body which accredits the current college which I'm about to purchase, they're recognized all the way up to the doctorate level, which would mean that it wouldn't be immediate, but we would be able to in essence, in 2, 3 years or 4 years down the line, because you get approved in scales, we would be able to offer up to the doctorate level here in Homestead.
Okay. For example, I'm just going to throw this out here. I mean, to be an RN, people who live in the south end of the county, they have to go to the north campus of Dade Medical.
Miami-Dade College.
I'm sorry, Miami-Dade College.
Respectfully.
Too many Dades. But they have to go all the way to the Wolfson campus in order to get their RN degree. So I'm hoping that we will see those kinds of things in the new university.
We currently do have, if I can interject, we currently do have an RN program in the heart of Chrome right now. We have a standalone 2-year program, associates in nursing.
Very
we
impressive.
would be adding, hopefully in the near future, a bachelor's under the Dade Medical College brand, because our accrediting body is now getting recognized by the U.S. Department of Education.
But getting back to the real estate, I understand. I mean, it's just like the Pink Lady baseball stadium. It sat there for all those years since 1991, and nobody wanted to dance with her. And then all of a sudden, we had a few people that wanted to dance. And I feel the same way with this property. I was part of that master plan that we did, and I envision you having places to eat. I envision you having lofts or apartments for the students. I envision all those things. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I envision those things being part of this campus. And I'm 100% supportive of it. I'm okay with the financing. I'm in the note business. I mean, the 5-year balloon of 5% interest, amortized over 15 years with 30% down. I think that's darn good. Really good. And you're not looking for funds. You're not having to wait to be qualified for special funding from any agency. I imagine that you have that set aside and ready to rock and roll with that, correct?
We're ready to go as soon as you folks feel comfortable with it. I can't state enough how much I believe in the city of Homestead. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't. So again, it's something that I think will benefit the citizens. It'll benefit our kids. It'll benefit, a host of folks of generations to come. And again, as you say, I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking for you guys to basically say, Mr. Perez, go ahead, do this, and let me run from there.
I also see that you guarantee to have architectural plans and renderings completed within 1 year of purchase and begin construction within 1 year of said plans approval.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's excellent. That's excellent. So, with that being said, are there any other comments or questions? Mr. Williams?
No, I'd just like to go ahead and move the item that we enter whatever negotiations that there may be to move ahead with the project and the school, so the university concept. The only thing that I would add is that how soon can you get started? No.
My friend, as soon as you guys give me the go-ahead here.
But no, I move that with, as a motion.
Vice Chairwoman, I do have one more question.
We need to get a second on that motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second for,
I think it's just important to clarify the motion. So is the motion to move ahead with negotiations with, John,
with the process, the 30-day window,
Right.
the normal process of,
Right.
Of disposing CRA property,
Okay.
by what you have prescribed. That's
Okay.
letter of law.
I'll make a second,
we have a motion and a second?
If you don't mind.
I'm sorry. Can I add something? In that negotiation that we strike the monies that they're asking or recommendation to pay the realtor. Okay, that be not a part of my motion. Okay.
Is that all right with you?
that's fine.
All right, any discussion?
I do have a question. Follow up to the attorneys. You stated that there might be some properties that you don't have any of the funding documents. What would you do in that case?
we're just going to have to go back and look at the best records that we have and do the best due diligence we have and try to reconstruct.
Do you anticipate this being, like, what time frame? How much time do you think it takes to look up all the properties and their original documents?
I don't know. I'm just seeing the list actually for the first time this evening, but we'll certainly not slow down the process at all. I just discussed it with the manager. We'll do what we have to do to get this done.
Okay, thank you.
All those documents are at the courthouse, so I mean, it's just a matter
The
of...
ones that I'm a little bit concerned about finding are the real estate documents are all at the courthouse. The ones that we're going to have to look for a little bit is if there was a grant agreement between the city, that wouldn't be recorded. If there was some sort of a program under which we bought these properties, but we'll go back and we'll do the best we can to find them.
Okay. All right, Mr. Shelley.
Sure. Just a quick comment, guys. I just want to be clear on my comments. I do support the project. I think it's a great concept, and I look forward to, if we go forward down this road to negotiate, putting forth a good product in the ground. I think it's good for the downtown. But again, kind of on a principle type space, RFP, I would like to see, even if it was a short process, I just think that we go through that process, and at the end of the day, you probably do come out on top. But that's my position. So I just want to make sure I do support the project. I support the concept. But I would like to go the RFP process instead. So, thanks.
All right, quickly.
A point of clarification, I never got an answer back if we do the appraisal and the price is less, would the city...
Well, right now, we're
honor
not
the-
talking about it.
Okay, so we're no longer talking
So
about it.
I'm cautioning
Okay.
you as to what you're going to say up there.
So now, and the other thing that we wanted to add, I'll cede over to Roxanne.
I did want to mention that 3 of the properties, the assessed value is based on having buildings on them. In Miami-Dade, and there's no buildings, it's vacant land. So when we came up with our price, we used the land value only. Thank you.
Well, Vice Mayor, because the motion is to begin negotiations, I would ask the applicants not to negotiate now, because I think that's what I'm hearing. And in terms
Exactly.
of, the only other clarification I'd need from you is, did you want to do the appraisal or didn't you? Because that was...
I'd like to ask Mr. Williams I took your motion to say, move ahead according to the stipulations that Mr. Weiss has set forth as recommendations or requirements, rather,
Right.
from the CRA,
Correct. And if that process involves...
whatever the process is.
Yeah, whatever the process is, that's what it...
Okay. All right, we have a second.
Just to be clear, the process does not involve
It does not what?
It does not involve an appraisal. It just requires advertising for 30 days. So if you want an appraisal, you need to tell us to do that.
Okay, well, let's vote on the motion that's on the floor. We have a second, correct? And, Madam Clerk?
Board Member Burgess?
Yeah, but I've got one more question.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
You're saying you need us to tell you to do the appraisal. Does that need to be included in the motion?
Well, quite frankly, if you all say you'd prefer not to do an appraisal, we wouldn't do it. Ordinarily, when we negotiate a business deal, we typically like to have an appraisal, or at least an appraiser's informal report before we, finalize the documents, but it's totally your
I'd like
call.
to see that as part of our package.
So I amend the motion by including an appraisal.
And I'll second that.
Wait a minute. We have a motion on the floor, correct?
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a second, because I can see this is somewhat controversial. We're going to revert to Robert's rules.
Please.
So anyone has the right to amend the motion.
So I just amended the motion by including the appraisal.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend the motion to include an appraisal. Has it been seconded?
I'll second it.
Okay, so now you have to vote on the amendment.
I will tell you that any appraiser is going to come out here and they're going to use exactly what's here in these Miami-Dade tax rules. That's what they're going to use. And they're going to use comparable sales, and there aren't any comparable sales. So I think if we're going to do that, then there should be a time frame as to when the appraisal would be back.
Well, one thing I would suggest is that we could get an informal report from an appraiser where there's no documentation, but we'll know internally whether we should recommend a second step. Because the thing I worry about in negotiating with somebody is that once we have a piece of paper, it'll be public information,
Right.
and it undermines our ability to negotiate with them. So it might be better to just kind of pay an appraiser for an informal report first, and then see where we're at from there.
All right, I wouldn't have no problem with that.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think that will be something that we would do in-house. That way we can actually see where we are. I don't have a problem with the amendment or anything.
Let's call the vote then, Madam Clerk.
Is this on the motion, the motion to amend, or is this on the?
This is on the
amendment.
This is on the amendment, which is to include an appraisal.
Okay, so this is on the motion to amend.
To include a soft appraisal, not an informal appraisal.
I'm not clear as to the intention of the maker of the motion.
Maker?
I mean, the appraisal as discussed. I think that we are in informal agreement up here from what you've heard from discussion, what kind of appraisal we're looking for.
Okay.
I mean,
Then
you've
fine.
just heard all the
Understand
comments
it.
up here, so let's vote on the amendment.
Okay, so roll call vote, please.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Now we need to vote on the motion as amended.
Yes, all right. And we don't need a, okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
No.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wallman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
While they're getting the mayor, I don't want to forget to ask for an executive session on the case United States of America versus City of Homestead, which is the Algiers, the lawsuit dealing with the Algiers approval, and I'll ask the clerk to please schedule that.
Absolutely.
You were going to talk about the historic value, or? Okay, that's all we need. Okay. All right.
Okay, excellent. All right, tab 12. No, that's okay. Tab 12. CRA.
Staff is seeking direction from the board on whether to begin negotiations with Florida Comprehensive Educational Facilities, LLC, on the proposal to donate the Shotgun House property.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have a conflict with this discussion, and so I'm going to be recusing myself from this because I'll be taking an active part of this project.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll file my paperwork tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Okay, can we get a little bit of background before the applicant starts? Just 1 second, Wayne. Can you give us just a little background of what you want to tell us, and then we'll turn to the applicant, staff?
Yes, sir. Okay. Give me one moment. On February 23rd, the city manager received a proposal from the Florida Comprehensive Educational Facilities LLC requesting that the CRA board to donate the Shotgun House property at $1 a year for a 30-year period in order to build and operate a charter school for children during the day and adults at night. FCEF intends to open the school in August of 2011. That's as per their proposal letter, which is attached as an exhibit.
Okay. All right. Questions from staff before I open it up to the applicant?
Quick question, Mayor.
Yes, please.
Mr. Leonard, I think in our discussions, you told me the CRA sunsets in 12 years.
Yes, sir. It sunsets in 2024, and so any agreement, including the previous agreement, would have to expire prior to that period. Yes.
Okay, so then, after the 12 years, what would the city do in terms of collecting their $1 a year, or whatever the figure would be that we chose or agree upon?
I would humbly recommend that if it was, I mean, that's
in advance, all $35.
That would be I defer to legal if you wanted to have an agreement after that type of, after 2024, but one option obviously is to enter an agreement for a period of time that not to exceed the period of the CRA. So.
Thank you. I just want
Sure.
clarification. Thank you.
In all seriousness, yes. The applicant, please.
My name is Wayne.
Flip to there you go.
Wayne Rosen. Excuse me. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Vice Mayor and Council. My name is Wayne Rosen. I'm a principal in Inspiring Minds Academy. The applicant, the original applicant for the RFP for the bowling alley site. After the council decided to go with the bowling alley proposal and not the school that we presented, I was contacted by the city and they asked us to look at some alternate sites. And our group did. We looked at the old Shotgun property. It's approximately 5 acres. And I brought with me today a small preliminary site plan that simply shows modulars that will house approximately 500 student stations that our group would need to fulfill the needs of the students that are presently going to the Silver Palm School and are on the waiting list here locally. So what we are hoping that we can get the city council to approve some sort of fast negotiations with the city manager and be able to come in and design a water, sewer, paving, drainage site plan and purchase these modulars and get the school open for the specifically for the Southwest this year. If you'd like, I've got 8 copies of the site plan that I could also pass around.
Sure.
So Mayor, I think we'd be asking the same question as we did for the previous presentation, which is, do you like it in concept? Do you want to have the staff enter negotiations? Would you prefer to RFP the site? Those kind of things. So we'd like some direction on that.
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And this precedes you, but have we ever, has this property been offered up at any other time? And any responses to the offer if it was? But I don't remember any sitting up here in my 3.5 years, and I don't remember the prior 3 years or so that people were fighting over this property. Anything ever being done with it, so I was just trying to refresh the memory in my mind.
I'm probably not the best person to ask. I'm not aware of any offer. I'm not aware of any public offer. I defer to probably other staff that probably can give you a more historical background, but I'm not aware of that.
Thank you.
Mr. Shelley.
I just want some clarification. As I read the letter, it says donate the land to Dollar Year for 30 years. So I'm assuming that's intended to be a lease, correct? You're asking to lease the land for 30 years at $1 a year?
Yeah, originally, yeah, that was the intent. I think if there are some negotiations that we need to do with the city manager and the council, we need to make sure that after we develop and build the property, that we're able to get some sort of financing in place. We would have to come out of pocket to get this school open this year. And if that's a lease, then I think that's the proper way to go forward. And if there's another mechanism, I'd like the ability to do that to make sure financing is available.
Okay.
Question? Yes, sir. Mr. Leonard, again, this, you may or may not, but I believe the city has approximately $2 million invested in this land. Is that about right?
Yeah, about so, yes.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I had a question as far as what's the plan? I mean, I know that the plan is to get the modulars in there to open in the fall, but then what's the plan on the building of the school?
We haven't gotten that far. The site plan does contemplate an area that we'll have a permanent structure, and depending on the need, we'll plan on designing and building that future structure. That'd probably be several years from now. I would also like the ability, if there's more demand, to bring in some more modulars and bring a site plan back to the council and get your approval as well.
What is the code as far as, because it doesn't sound like it's temporary modulars, it sounds like it's going to be long-term modulars. So do we have a code in place for that or not? I don't know. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Vice Mayor, I think I can answer that.
You know? Okay.
Yeah, we've researched all the codes. You adopted the Dade County Building Code, and there's no restriction that we can find against modules. These modules would be built to South Florida Building Code standards and therefore comply.
Would they look like manufactured housing, or, I mean, you know what a manufactured house looks like? Would it be like that? I mean, what would it look like?
Our intention is not to have it look like a
portable.
A portable.
Okay.
We would actually dig a hole in the ground, set it into place, backfill. There wouldn't be any ramps up to the building. You would have your parking lot, then your concrete, which is asphalt. Then you'll have a concrete walkway going up to the front door. There'll be awnings and lavish landscaping so that it looks permanent. But basically is permanent. They come in with they actually come to site and have all this, the classrooms in place. They have the lunchroom as part of the design, and once you hook up electric, telephone, and water and sewer, you're ready for business.
And would the modulars be connecting, or would they, in other words, would they connect in some way, or would they have to go down like little steps and then go to the next building, or how would that, like if they wanted to change class, or?
That's a good question. No, that's a good question. The latest site plan contemplates connectivity. You can have it designed to whatever needs, and they build it to your design. So,
I see.
So this concept does show that they're connected and there's walkway between the classes.
And this would be under Somerset Academy as well?
We hope so. They've given us a commitment and said that they're going to. We have not signed an agreement, as I stated prior when we were looking to do the bowling alley, but they're on board and we talk to them every day. They actually designed the site plan that we picked up and presented tonight.
Okay, thank you.
If I could mention that because we just got this, what we wanted to do is at least get it on your radar screen. If you like the concept, then we start the negotiations, but also get a lot more detail from Mr. Rosen, because obviously there's a lot more here that we need to see. But if you like the concept, then we can begin with that.
And I like the concept. Is anybody else there? You have any other questions? Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, I think that I would be okay with moving forward with negotiations. At that time, you'll iron out the whole thing of having a building and how it reverts back to the city, and I guess similar to what we saw with the charter school out by the stadium.
Right, all the professional staff would really need to weigh in just to see all the details and make sure that all the city's interests are protected. And once we get the sense that you're okay with, utilizing this site and not RFPing it, and then we can start the process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rosen. I think these kind of units are called concretables, and it's what Herbert Ammons Middle School has had, and they've been in A school for the past 8 or 9 years, and it works very well. Thank you. Concretables.
Go ahead, Steve. No, please. I'll take the camera member.
Yeah, no, I like the concept a lot. I'm glad that the applicant is willing to take the risk to put a quality school in the Southwest neighborhood. So, I know that there were some concerns and there's some risk involved, and I like the fact that you're willing to step up to the plate and try it. And that's one thing, too, I ask about the lease is for me, if it's a lease, then we at least, if it doesn't succeed, we get our land back and we can do something else with that land. So that's why it was important to me that this is a lease versus, say, when the bowling alley, you were trying to purchase the property, and so there's a lot less concerns with this, and so I just wanted to make that clarification, but I like the idea a lot.
I too. I like the concept, and I applaud you for stepping up, to the table and doing something for the Southwest section there that could desperately use a plus high school, quality high school. So I'm willing to agree to move forward also.
And Mayor, if I just could say that it's just been a long time coming that the Southwest has this, and I'm so glad you reconsidered, and I think it's now where it should be in the Southwest area, so I'm in full support as well.
Mayor.
Yes.
I too support it. The one thing that I would like for staff to look at is I remember probably 6, 7 years ago sitting in here, and Vice Mayor Waldman was in here, and I'm not sure who else, some of the staff, but I remember a tremendous argument about this convenience store that sits in the one corner.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask.
So I would like to get some clarification as to and a refresher as to what was said that night, because I thought there was something about a lease. They were supposed to have vacated the property and some things like that, which would make that property a whole without another business in there. And as we all know, as kids find a place to hang out, it leads into another thing, but I think that would clean up the whole site too. So if while staff is doing their homework, if they could check into that and see what the deal was on that lease or whatever it ended up being that night. I mean, it was a very hectic night where it ended up, but I support this, and I think it's a great thing for the Southwest. Any A-plus education is good for anywhere, whether it's the Southwest, Northeast, or wherever. So, thank you.
Thank you. And the site that you're speaking about, I think, might be owned by Shiver still. So if there's some way I can help
it was
it.
supposed to revert back to the city somehow, and he couldn't do it that night because he had a lease with the guy, but the lease was supposed to be up in 3 to 5 years, but nobody had an exact number, so, yeah.
My recollection of this is that night, and some were
It
not.
was a good night.
And some were not so happy with us, but we raised the fact that that site was not included in the transaction because of the...
At the last minute.
What?
Kind of at the last minute.
What?
That people realized that site wasn't included.
And that there was, it couldn't be, it wasn't part of the city's purchase of the property. And so it was approved, notwithstanding that, but I don't think that the city has any interest in that
If we
property.
could just get clarification.
We will.
Yeah. I just want to make the two comments. One, it's my understanding when I first was hired here that business actually desires to expand across the street. I don't know if they've actually pulled permits yet, but since I've been here, I've spoken to the property owner, well, not the property owner, the actual business owner, and I know that they wish to expand across the street, but also retain that business at the same time. And also, just for clarification, in case I misspoke, when I first came on board, there was a church that did desire to purchase CRA property, but I did not consider that a formal proposal because I did not actually put it in writing for a specific amount. But there is another entity that has expressed an interest in that property at the very beginning. Sure.
Bring it back then. I'd like to go on and call the vote. The Vice Mayor.
I make the motion.
She made a motion. Is that?
I'll second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call roll. In favor to move forward to the manager's office for negotiation.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Warman?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Lobos?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, applicant.
Thank you, council.
Okay, anything further from staff? We have some question, one quick thing. Anything further from staff? Okay, Ms. Shelley.
I had a question going forward for our CRA meetings because it's been a couple months since we had some. Are we going to start trying to go to like a monthly meeting? Because this was, again, a very long agenda for CRA purposes, so if we do it on a monthly basis, maybe we can break it into something a little bit shorter. Is that the plan?
If that's your pleasure, yes, and also at some point we'd like some clarification on, we have had at least one council member express concerns about Wednesday nights, so if that's something you could all think through and how to accommodate each other so that there's not conflicts, but that's something you guys might want to just mull over.
I just think that we've got a couple things now that need to happen very quick, and as quick as, Councilwoman Lobos moves forward on this one issue, we need to even go to a special call and get it done.
Mayor,
Yes.
I actually was the one that commented on Wednesday nights.
Well,
I'll take my name to it. And the comment that the city manager just brought up was consistently having it on Wednesday nights. And it's because not only is the council meeting on Wednesday nights, and right now we ran over, if we would have gotten here at 7, I could have made Bible study. But because it happened, all of our special calls, every meeting seems to happen on Wednesday night. It's just something that I'm never able to make Wednesday night Bible study. So I asked if there could be another day that we could meet when we call special calls, CRA meetings, and other meetings.
Well, I think the problem we had with Tuesday was with Councilman Williams, correct? No, you weren't here when we switched the date. I believe Councilman Williams has Bible study on Tuesday night, so.
Yeah, Mayor, he said that he didn't bring that up in the public. He stated at one of the meetings where I said, when I understand that he was heard, but why wasn't I heard? And you recall that whole commentary that we had that night? And so if the city manager can check with Councilman Williams to see if he's accommodating to, other than Tuesday or Wednesday, perhaps a Monday or Thursday, not a Friday.
Thursday. I'll go Thursday.
Just to vary it every now and then.
Don't mess up my long weekend.
Yeah, I think
So I'll go Thursday before I go Monday.
kind of the point I was making is each of you have, I just wanted to make sure you're all aware that each of you have your concerns, that if we could get some sort of
Consensus,
understanding
sure.
or consistency, if you wanted to do it on a monthly basis, that would be okay as long as you can all agree on what day that would be.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. And again, just like we have the cows and we have the councils, it's the second week or the third week. I mean, I think it's the same thing. That way we can schedule. Because that's the big problem is when we get the call the week before and say we're going to have a CRA meeting, and then my schedule, it's easy if I can go ahead and know in advance that it's always the third Tuesday, Monday, Thursday, whatever. It doesn't matter the day of the week, but I can plan.
And just for me, Thursdays are always easier because sometimes I travel on a long weekend. I don't get home till Monday, and I can't guarantee I'll be here on a Monday.
So would a Thursday for a CRA meeting, if we can find, whether it's the first, second, third, or fourth Thursday, does that work for
Well,
everybody?
I think the weeks of the cow or the weeks of the council meetings make it easiest for me.
I mean, if you could do it earlier on a Tuesday where it didn't run into.
You mean 8 o'clock in the morning?
I can do it. I'm here Tuesday and Thursdays. I don't know. Polls, check it out. Tuesdays, Thursdays. See if we can get.
We'll do our best.
Thank you. Anything further from council? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Okay.